Welcome, fellow arthritis program leaders. I'm Dr. Lori Sherlock, and I want to thank you for dedicating your time to enhance your classes. You already provide safe, effective, and evidence-based programming, and let's face it, that's the foundation. We want to keep our participants coming back week after week. So how do we do that? The answer is often fun and engagement. Today, we're not talking about complicated video games. We're discussing gamification, applying simple game elements like scoring or challenges or rewards to non-game activities, specifically our Arthritis Foundation exercise and aquatic program sessions. Our goal is to shift the focus from pain management to personal achievement. So let's dive in and take a look on how we might do this as foundation, as leaders, as instructors. So gamification is something that has foundations and roots in the literature, in the research, and it is basically the practice of adding games to exercise. This may be incorporating actual games, so maybe taking games from our childhood, from the playground, or even from more advanced things that we create on our own. And we take those actual games and put them into our programs. We may use a reward system, and this doesn't have to be something complex. It can be, but we might choose to bring stickers into play. We might choose to add high fives in for rewards. Completion and competition. So these things are goal oriented. Okay, so the competition and the goals, they're goal oriented. And completing these goals often gives people a sense of a really positive sense of self. So by completing either a competition or completing a specific goal that these individuals set, or the game set, can help to bolster self-efficacy. The research suggests that it increases motivation, it can boost enjoyment, it improves engagement, it increases self-efficacy or how people feel about themselves, and it bolsters adherence or attendance to our classes. In the corner here, you see a little picture that I pulled from the American Heart Association that again is taking the concept of let's make movement more fun. And that is the whole premise of this chat today. We want to take gamification into our classes to make our classes even more fun than they already are. Now, that may not, you might think, that's not even possible because my classes are already so much fun. That's amazing. Good for you. Keep it coming. But these are just a few more ideas that might help build your class to an even more positive environment. Okay, so great. First stop is that games can increase motivation and enjoyment. This makes exercise less like a chore. Okay, so none of us want to do things that feel like a chore. And oftentimes, my personal belief is this is why a lot of folks choose not to exercise. Gamification taps directly into the brain's reward system. It releases feel-good hormones, dopamine, right? So this is the stuff when people look for that exercise high, we can challenge the body to release it by completing a goal, like a game. It transforms exercise from an obligation into this reward. And ultimately, people see this as a really fun experience. It also boosts intrinsic motivation. Okay, so this can be something that may distract from discomfort. Many of our individuals are going to experience discomfort due to the arthritis that they have. And when we provide something that feels fun, we have that dopamine release, but we also have a distraction. That allows individuals to focus to execute the game. Okay, that required focus to execute that game. And it's much like we're maybe doing tempo or we're tracking a score, doing something that is going to build in more than just movement. It really deserves an opportunity to be a distraction from mild discomfort. And it allows people to manage pain a bit better. In fact, this is a pretty common pain management strategy. It's naturally integrated into the gameplay. So we are tricking our participants to basically stop thinking about their pain and start having a little bit more fun. This, in turn, it really boosts intrinsic motivation. So that intrinsic motivation, that's the motivation that is within us. And gameplay is interactive, it's immersive. It has these elements that help us get lost in what we are doing. It gets us lost in the activity. And all of this can be really, really positive for helping, again, to make working out feel easier. So it may be that we're having a very challenging game physically and or mentally, cognitively, but it's the process feels easier because we're having a little bit more fun. It can help people push a little harder for a little longer. And research absolutely, it shows that game mechanics can tap into that deeper, more sustainable drive. This is one of the reasons that gameplay can be such a good tool in our toolbox as instructors to help enhance that intrinsic motivation of our clients. So inherently, we're going to see maybe a bigger push and a lot more enjoyment for an external reward. Okay. And it's not just a reward like weight loss. It's a reward like, hey, I'm having a good time and I enjoy this activity. So I'm going to keep doing it. And lastly, it provides a clear goal. So that clear goal and that sense of purpose kind of go along together. Games give us specific targets to hit. And that specific target allows us to maybe earn points or go to a certain level or perform a specific task. This direction allows us to stay focused. It allows us to keep moving forward. It allows us to keep pushing towards a goal. The game design, it can focus on clear and immediate feedback. That is really powerful. When people get immediate feedback, they're able to then digest that feedback and respond physically, mentally, whatever it might be. Things like points and badges and visual progress. Maybe we have some boards or stickers or things that we have posted at our pools to show people this is where they've gone, this is how they've gone, how far they've gotten. It helps individuals to manage pain. It helps individuals to decrease fatigue. It helps them see a clear, small achievements like earning a single point or earning an extra star sticker. But this can be super motivating, and it allows us to see small increments versus waiting weeks and weeks and weeks for big functional gains. Improvement in engagement is, again, something that we seek out in our classes. A lot of times our groups, this is the only time they see a lot of social engagement in their day. So we want to enhance this a little bit more, and games absolutely do this. Not only do they enhance social connection, or sorry, engagement, but they also enhance social connection. A lot of times these games are going to include multiplayers, right? We're going to have small teams, we're going to have small groups, or maybe we're going to even have the whole class participate in a single game. And it allows us to work out with our friends, with our family, potentially other members of our community within our class, and bolster a friendly competition. Sometimes that even moves on beyond the classroom, that competition, that sense of community. It'll improve the person's ability to perform the game, and it kind of shows to improve accountability, meaning that I'm going to perform this exercise appropriately, I'm going to do it right, I'm going to do it with great form, but I'm also going to do it in competition, friendly competition with my friend. It can boost mental well-being. Okay, so this mental well-being concept is very important because a healthy mind assists in leading to a healthy body. The combination of that physical activity and that engaging gameplay can really be powerful stuff. So it helps to relieve stress. It can help us bring in more happiness into our lives. And studies have shown that gamified activities actually improve mental health. It helps to improve mental well-being. And overall, we see an increase, a betterment in mood. It also demonstrates some promising results when it comes to reducing loneliness. And loneliness is a big part of what we are concerned about, particularly with older adults that have chronic issues. When people have chronic issues that impair their motor skills, meaning that they're not able to maybe ambulate or walk easier from place to place, Generally speaking, they reduce their activities. They choose not to go to different places because it's challenging, it's harder. And so if we can reduce that loneliness, it increases that positive social attitude, and overall our quality of we see an improvement in quality of life. So engagement is important. It also can help bolster cognitive skills. It's another area that we are concerned about with advancing age, and honestly, even as young adults. Cognitive skills are something that we should be practicing. So that cognitive skill, that interactive game challenge, it challenges both the body and the mind, and we can increase the amount that we see cognitive engagement included in our gameplay, and we can reduce that to the needs of our classes, of course. But when we're looking at enhancing both the mind and the body, we can build some really cool things into our gameplay, like attention and memory and problem solving. So these things might be incorporated with some physical activities with our exercises, and I'm going to show you a few examples of these different things as we go on today. But this is super beneficial for older adults and younger adults to help delay those age-related cognitive decline concerns that we have. And of course, there's plenty of research that supports this. It suggests that exergaming, so like exercising and gameplay, it may be more effective than traditional physical interventions. So not only is exercise really important for cognitive development and delaying cognitive decline, but when we add games to that, it can boost brain function. Self-efficacy, or that idea of improving how I feel about myself. Okay, so gamification can help with this too. That observance of progress or feeling like you've achieved within a game, and or maybe tracking yourself over the course of gameplay. And hey, did I perform that better than last time? It is a visible and measurable thing. So that can absolutely help enhance confidence. It builds belief in their ability to succeed, which ultimately translates to improved self-efficacy and confidence. When people are more confident about their physical performance, they're going to be more confident about doing things within their home and outside of their home. For example, it might give arthritis participants confidence that they feel that they can manage their condition, okay? Maybe through physical activity. So maybe they're taking fewer pain medications because they have a higher level of confidence when it comes to being able to do things. Adherence is one of the most critical challenges. Okay, so if we're talking about something that can improve adherence, this is going to perk everybody's ears up. If we can get people to subscribe to lifelong exercise, that is a very powerful thing. So that long-term adherence is a big part of what we want to do, and a big part of what we do is making things more fun. Gamification, it proves effective here by addressing common barriers like boredom, okay, like perceived effort. I'm working too hard. This is too hard. I'm bored. Take that out of the play. Let's add game. Okay, let's add play to that. It encourages long-term habits. So by making exercise more enjoyable, by adding gameplay, by adding fun, users will they will overcome that initial hurdle. Okay, so this will help start to create a habit, which is what we want. It reinforces and creates a cycle that encourages people to keep coming back to class after class after class, and engaging and building a sustainable habit for exercise. And that's really what we're after as water exercise instructors and as Arthritis Foundation program leaders. So the American Journal of Play, they actually have some pretty powerful research that is showing that gameplay in younger adults, in children, and even in older adults has been a really effective means of getting people to adopt exercise as a habit. They are more likely to adopt it as part of their lifestyle. And active gaming, it bridges that gap between the popular technology driven stuff. Okay, so we know this stuff that exists mostly with kids. We've got a lot of exergaming out there. We're taking that concept and we're adapting it into gamification of Arthritis Foundation programs. These activities require participants to move their body the way that we want to, but now we're bringing in an element of fun. We're bringing maybe an element in of cognitive function. So this is a really great way to incentivize physical activity and get people to reduce the risk for burnout. Lots of rewards, and some awesome abilities to build in those long-term habits. I do have a picture here of a fitness class attendance sheet. This is just something that you may choose to adapt into your class or adopt into your classes. Just something simple that shows, hey, I'm showing up. I have perfect attendance. These small wins can encourage people to keep coming back. They don't want to break their streak. So again, you're solidifying a habit. And there's a lot of good research that helps us show that that's also something important. When they have a streak that's going, they want to keep coming back for more. There are so many games that we can play. And when we're talking about gameplay in arthritis, of course, we want to build in our specific Arthritis Foundation exercises. So when we're looking at some of these things, one example that I have here is the Arthritis Foundation class deck. Okay, so what is this? Well, you can use a simple deck of playing cards before class. You assign each suit to an exercise or category. Or sorry, an exercise category. So that is going to ensure that we hit every part of the body the way that we need to. That's pretty cool. We're also going to build in some additional rules. Okay, so a participant can draw a card, or you as the dry instructor may choose to draw that card. They're going to determine the exercise category, okay? And then the card number determines the number of repetitions. Cool, that's really, really simple. So all I need is a deck of cards. Face cards are 15 seconds, aces are 20 seconds, numbers, you take 5 and multiply that by the number of reps or seconds if you want to use time. And off you go. Okay, so we might choose for hearts, we might choose hand and finger exercises. This is just an example. You can put it however you'd like. And then with those hand and finger exercises, maybe we as instructors, we kind of pick, I want to do these 3 exercises for them. So then I have them at the front of my brain or on my lesson plan so that I can get back into that pretty easily. So piano fingers, finger spreads, thumb circles, those are going to be the 3 exercises that I choose during this game. Okay, clubs are trunk and core exercises, diamonds are hip and knee exercises, and spades are active warm-up and cool downs like ankle pumps, deep breathing, walking, and even skis. So we've got all these things that we can do, and this is just one example of how we might bring a little bit of gameplay into our arthritis classes. And gosh, that's an easy one for us to do, isn't it? The alphabet challenge. So this is another one that, again, pretty simple. The goal is to maintain a perfect smooth rhythm of something like an ankle pump or an arm cross front back, or something else that you want to do. Okay, so we're trying to maintain that activity without starts and stops. That's the first step. Okay, so we integrate that movement pattern into play, and then we have additional challenges. Okay, so we're going to give the group a letter of the alphabet to now we're going to say, all right, I want you to take the letter C and you're going to call out as many words that start with the letter C. We're going to take turns. Maybe we do this in a circle. Maybe we do this in small groups. And if people stop or if they pause for too long, then they're out and they have to perform something else. Okay, so maybe we're doing more of a static posture as this example of a calf stretch or a finger O. We can progress this, of course. We can make it more specific. We can make it, take it into a place where it becomes really hard for them to do. So we might build this into the level that of challenge that they need. That's kind of the take home. We want to make it hard enough that they feel challenged, but easy enough that they can participate. One of my favorites is a freeze tag option. Okay, so for this example, we have a frozen exercise and we have an unfreeze exercise and we have a movement. Okay, so basically everybody can be, depending on your pool size and your class size, it might be that you have people moving about the cabin, moving around throughout the pool. And you can do that with a walk. Okay. So I have an example is everybody who is running, they're doing some type of marching or skiing or skating, or in this case, maybe juggling. Okay. Or arm cross front and back. So we might choose to do something that's our movement exercise. We're not frozen. Okay. And then we have a person that is freezing people. Okay. So when you're tagged, the participant has to stop moving and they're holding a safe static stretch or balance. Okay. So maybe that day I want to work on balance. And then halfway through the game or the second round of the game, I'm going to change the exercise to static stretching so I can use this as a cool down or a warm down activity. And then to be unfrozen, a non-tagged player can free a frozen player by performing a specific hand finger exercise while facing them. So this is going to tap into motor control, but it's also going to tap into building that sense of community. So you're face to face with an individual, you're clarifying that you're doing some really great repetitions of those finger exercises, particularly a finger O or a thumb circle, to make that a little bit more engaging and interactive. Color blocking. Okay, so this one is, as you'd probably guess, based on a color. So everybody's going to begin with that rhythmic movement, that rhythmic exercise. So like we can use marching, we can use kayaking, or we can use a combination of those two. And when the instructor calls out a color, so let's say blue, they're going to stir the soup 4 times one way and 4 times the other way while also doing thumb circles. Okay, so this is definitely a cognitive challenge. This is going to be a hard thing for them to coordinate together. My college students have trouble with this stuff. So that part one, if you're looking at the first column, that is kind of your gross motor skill. Okay. And then we're combining that with more of a fine motor skill. And by doing that, we're building in a bit more cognitive function. So that challenge is going to introduce not just being able to put those movements together with coordination, but also understanding the command, responding to that command. So speed of movement and speed of response. So all that's going to come into play. Now, clearly you can come up with as many colors and combinations as your class can handle. 2 seems really good as a starting point, but of course you can add into that, make it 3, 4, 5. If your class can handle 5, that's amazing. Good for them. So gamification, take home message, gamification can build an exercise habit. And that's what we are seeking. We want people not just to exercise for a day, we want them to exercise for a lifetime. This is just a little bit of an example where these different games come into play and how they really help. So the boredom and monotony part, if people come to exercise and they get bored, they're not going to keep coming back. Okay, unless there are other reasons that they want to come back, whether that is for friendship or whether that is because they feel good, better after the exercise. But we might use something like randomization, that Arthritis Foundation class deck. That's going to keep things fresh and new and random, right? So we don't even know what's gonna be picked. We have a set of exercises that we're going to make sure that we do. But it's helping to maintain the dopamine response. All right. Remember, dopamine is when we gamify things, when we make things more fun, dopamine is released. Exercise also releases dopamine. So it's that neurological signal that says, this is good. Do this again. And guess what? They keep coming back for more. So when that activity results in a small or immediate win, then you're going to get a dopamine release. The brain is going to release that dopamine and it's going to create a very positive feedback sensation. Okay, so that positive feedback loop is going to keep pushing people into coming back for more of that positive feeling. The game mechanics inject novelty, they inject unpredictability, and that keeps the brain engaged. And guess what? Our brain likes to be engaged. It maximizes that reward response when we add gameplay. So let's foster this within our classes. Let's dive into a little bit of pain and discomfort concept, where we are going to focus on game rules. Okay, so if we are having to hyper focus on things, so take for example that color blocking, or the alphabet challenge, or a lot of these things where we're really having to pay attention to what we're doing. So that alphabet challenge, I'm doing a movement that I need to keep consistent and um, flowing, okay, without stopping. And I also have to give cognitive feedback. Okay, I have to tell people an object that starts with a C. I have to tell them things. Maybe I'm yelling out things that are in a grocery store. Okay, so giving people some information. That cognitive distraction can shift our focus away from that internal negative physical sensation. So again, we might tap into some intrinsic motivation for something like this. All right. So that's, again, dopamine helps us to foster more intrinsic motivation because it's giving that positive feedback loop. But it's also coming from being able to actually do this. This is also allowing us to kind of track, hey, I did that better this time around. So things for us to just consider as we're tapping into the idea of gameplay, and is this right for your class? A sense of failure. Okay, so that's a big barrier to exercise. I don't feel like I can do this well. I don't feel good at it. Okay. And a lot of people will avoid things that they don't feel that they do well. So that sense of failure is a barrier to exercise. And now let's build in some small achievable levels within our game. Okay, so by building in these small and achievable things, it creates immediate measurable success. So, hey, I was able to do that. Cool, I achieved that. And that makes me feel like I can do other things. Cool, self-efficacy goes up. So whether you're seeing long-term health goals, which you will eventually when you're doing exercise, right? When you're doing long-term exercise, but we have to establish a habit first. When we establish that habit, we can do that more easily, more successfully with gameplay, with making things more fun. Additionally, we have this need for social engagement. That's going to help drive adherence. It's going to help drive adherence. So we have, again, a lot of different hormones that are going to be released when we are bonding, when we're building trust, when we feel a sense of belonging. There's a need for relatedness. All of this kind of goes back to our basic human needs, and gameplay can definitely tap into that. So not only are they achieving positive things, these small incremental goals during our achievable games, but they're getting this emotional support that's going to help buffer their stress, and it's going to build behavioral accountability, and it's going to bring them back to your class time and time again. Okay. And that, of course, will lead us into isolation as well. So isolation is a concern. When we read about people that have chronic disabilities and diseases, isolation is always something that we should be concerned with. And commonly, this will lead to other mental health issues, including depression and anxiety. So when we're talking about gameplay, yes, it is just a game. But if we build things in like team challenges where they get this wonderful external social task, then that's going to help us trigger positive hormones. Okay. Oxytocin's in there. It's going to release with, again, more brain awesome things that are being released to reinforce that group belonging and accountability. It may also cognitively reframe the idea of exercise for us. So that sense of failure that is a barrier, isolation, which is a barrier, we might be cognitively reframing how we perceive exercise. Maybe we're not seeing Arthritis Foundation exercise as a task anymore. We're seeing it as a really fun thing that I get to do 3 times a week. Okay, so think about that when you're considering, is gameplay right for my class? I'm going to tell you to start small if you've never done it before. Start with things that feel like the social climate of your class. Okay, and maybe that is that class deck. That's a really nice option to start with. It's a simple game. It allows people to engage with each other as much as they want to. Um, but it also brings in um, all of the cognitive aspects and the physical aspects of a game. So I hope that this information has been fun and maybe has helped you reimagine your approach to fitness. As always, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you along with your Arthritis Foundation exercise programming. And I hope that this maybe gave you some ideas to make your classes just a little bit more fun.